Welcome back to another episode of The Cure for Cowardice. Now, part of the reason that I make these videos every day is, number one, I just want to build the habit of consistency. I think that if we can build the habit of consistency, it's one of the single greatest, or rather most powerful things that we can have, because then we can take that habit of being consistent and apply it to whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish. So that's number one. Number two is I like to see the day-over-day growth, because, we talk about getting 1% better every day, things like that, but it's easy to say, but it's more difficult to actually see for yourself. And when I go back and watch videos, I can very clearly see how I'm getting better at articulating my thoughts and getting better at making complex ideas a lot more concise and simple, which I think is something that is very important for what I'm trying to do. Last night, I let my willpower lapse a little bit, and I ended up eating a bunch of junk food. And I know that it's not the end of the world. I didn't even go that far over my calorie limit for the day, so I'm not too upset about it. But what I do notice is, as soon as I had that junk food, I immediately just had less willpower overall to do the other stuff that I still had to get done that night. And it's kind of interesting. It's like we think of willpower as a finite resource, when in reality I think it's more like a muscle. It's like if we let one thing slide, in our minds it's like, okay, well now I have more willpower to apply to something else. But in reality, by letting that one thing slide, our subconscious, or whatever you want to ascribe it to, is like, oh, so we're letting things slide. Okay. And then the next thing that you have to do, it's more difficult because you already took that L with that first thing that you were trying to avoid. And now you also are faced with another situation which you also want to avoid, but it's going to be a lot more difficult, because instead of having that win that you can stack on top, you now have a loss. And I think this is why we slide so often and spiral with our habits. It's like, oh, well, I already let this go. Might as well let this go. Might as well let this go. Might as well let this go. And it's like, oh, well, the day's shot. Now the week's shot. Now the month. Now the year. And it's like, it's very easy to allow yourself to slide back downhill. And it's very difficult to stop that momentum once it's started, which is why I think it's so important to establish the foundational habits that you're going to have day in and day out that's going to continue to build on those wins. So I was thinking about, though, what I wanted to talk about in this video, because of course I want to make a video every day, and I'm going to be somewhere where I won't have Wi-Fi later, so I wanted to get it done earlier so I could actually get it uploaded in time. And I'm watching a interview, I think it's the same one, it's with Alex Hormozi and Chris Williams, and Chris was talking about the book Atomic Habits, how he interviewed some Olympic powerlifting coach, and he asked him what's the difference between the athletes who are the best of the best and the ones that are simply good enough to qualify. And he said they can show up every single day without getting bored. And I think there's something powerful in that, because kind of like what I was talking about in one of my last videos, if you have discipline and motivation as your fuel, driving you towards whatever you're trying to do, sooner or later you're gonna have it slip and you're gonna have lapses. And if instead you have either the identity that you are trying to create in charge of your body and life, then it becomes a matter of survival, which is a lot less brain power, a lot less convincing. It's just, these are the things I have to do in order to continue to survive. But another powerful frame is setting your goals up and your habits up in such a way where everything that you are doing to drive yourself towards the life you want is a version of that thing that you actually enjoy and can get excited about. Like, a great example of this is diet. I am somebody that loves food to a very great extent, and different flavors and things like that. And so I've tried meal prepping in the past, where I basically did a large batch of veggies, rice, and meat, and then every day I would add a new sauce to it. The problem, though, is by the time that I would get towards the middle or the end of the week, the base ingredients would have been made like days ago and started to lose their freshness. And so even with me adding these sauces and things like that, it just wouldn't be all that appetizing, and I wouldn't get excited about it. And one thing that I've been doing differently is I cook basically every day now, and I'll still buy the ingredients in batches for the base ingredients, but I prepare them fresh for every meal, and then maybe there will be one meal worth of leftovers that gets stretched to the next one. And then, so I buy the base ingredients in bulk, bulk. I buy generally 1 or 2 a week sets of these base ingredients. But then, for whatever version of that dish I'm doing that day, I also go and get the ingredients for that on that day. Because I used to hate shopping, because I just felt like everything I was getting just wasn't fulfilling, but it was all that I knew how to make. And now that I'm starting to experiment more and try out different things, I'm starting to realize that there's quite a lot that you can make with very basic ingredients. And so now it's more exciting for me. Now it's okay, let me go to the store and spend a minimal amount of money just getting the few ingredients I need in order to make this version of the dish tonight. And so it's not only did I set it up so that that identity is fighting for survival, so that's not a matter of discipline or willpower or motivation, but I also set it up so that I don't get bored of it. And not just the food, but the activities involved. I don't get bored of the going shopping and trying to come up with the ingredients that I'm going to use for that version. I don't get bored of the cooking. I actually am enjoying it. I'm enjoying challenging myself, trying things that I haven't done before. So, I guess all this to say, as a continuation to the how to do hard things without motivation and discipline, another way that you can do it is to do it in such a way that you don't get bored. And another great example of this would be if you are trying to exercise, you could get on the treadmill and run for cardio, or you could go play basketball or insert whatever sport that you want there. And it's you're going to get cardio either way. You're going to burn the calories. But if you do it in such a way where you actually enjoy it and have fun, not only is it going to fly by and be a lot easier on your mind and body and spirit, but you're not going to get bored of it. And there's not going to be a time where you go, oh, I really don't feel like going and doing that today, because it's going to be something that you're actually excited to do. And by setting it up in that way, again, it's not a matter of motivation or discipline. It just becomes a matter of time, energy, and resource management. So, anyway, I think that's what I got for this one, but I'll catch you all on the flip side.